What up, people? Thanks for clicking on this video. It's your boy Sam with Small Couch Review Studios, and bada! Yep, getting right to it. I saw The Bride at a press screening, one of the movies I was looking forward to seeing the most this year. I'm going to tell you off jump, you're going to hear this movie described in a multitude of ways, but it's going to come back to weird, maybe eccentric, maybe out there, but I'm going to say it's wonderfully weird. Okay, so this is directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, stars Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale as our two leads. And in it, Jessie Buckley plays the bride of Frankenstein, even though they call her just the bride in this film. But she's the bride of Frankenstein, a reanimated corpse that was given to Frankenstein to be his life partner and live happily ever after, as their two immortal dead bodies roaming the earth, right? Now, I will say this is not like other renditions you may have seen, because, I myself thought that this was just going to be another telling of, a woman is reanimated, her and Frankenstein have an adventure, and that's the movie we see. And even though that happens in here, that's not really the plot. Like, this isn't Frankenstein's bride. It's more, she is a woman who is reanimated as the bride, and Frankenstein happens to be in her movie. So what I'm trying to say is she's not really like a sidekick or just a love interest. Like, she's very much the central character here. Now that means we actually are introduced to Jessie Buckley's character named Ida when we see her at the beginning of the film. We see her way before we ever see Frankenstein, right? And at this point, we hear a narration by a character we're told is Mary Shelley, also played by Jessie Buckley. And Mary Shelley, it's not a spoiler to the story if I tell you this. Trust me. But Mary Shelley is telling us that she's essentially going to possess this character of Ida for some reason that wasn't entirely clear to me, which is, I'm going to get to that in my sours very soon. But we're told Mary Shelley is going to possess this woman, Ida, and create a series of events that essentially leads her to becoming the bride. And that is when, I guess, the movie actually starts, right? So let me talk about these sours, though. Actually, we're going to flip it this time. I'm going to tell you what I like first, and I'm going to tell you what I don't like. Because what I don't like, I know I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about. So what works? Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale, man, knock it out of the park. I wouldn't say they have like the best chemistry I've ever seen, but every time those two are on screen together, I just really enjoyed seeing their characters. Christian Bale, for his part, he gives across that feeling of, the gentle giant who is lonely. When he goes and visits this doctor who he asked for help in creating a bride for him, he literally says, "Yo, I'm lonely." Like, there's a line he says, "You shook my hand when I met you. That was the first time anyone has ever done that to me." It's like, I've lived forever. I've never had a companion. I'm going to live forever. I don't want to be like this. I'm suffering. And that really comes across, man. It really hits you. Very similar to what I'd say is the better rendition of Frankenstein, at least in Jacob Elordi's Frankenstein movie that just came out. You can see that even though he looks like a monster, he doesn't act like a monster. He wants to belong. Violence is never his first, even though there are so many jerks he can rip apart with his hands. Violence is never his first answer. He just wants to live and have someone to share that life with. Isn't that what we all want? I think that, it really humanizes him. So good job showing the vulnerable side of this Frankenstein. But clearly, this movie's shining star is Jessie Buckley. Oh my goodness. So as the bride, she is a young New Yorker who tragically passes away and is reanimated, right, as the bride. Now, when she's reanimated, she doesn't have her memories. And as the audience, we see her at the beginning of the movie, but we don't really understand her situation or what she's doing. So as the movie goes along, that's when we get bits and pieces of her past until we understand who she was and the kind of business she was involved in, which actually unravels pretty nicely. I'll get to that a little later. But Jessie Buckley, I mean, when people say acting is an art, this is what they mean. For her to be this young, liberal rebel with a cause, juxtaposed to her being the heartbroken, mature mother we just saw in Hamnet, like, it's surreal to watch. I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, yo, I can't believe this is the same woman I was just watching in Hamnet. Oh, and even more impressive in this movie, as a New Yorker, she has like this Brighton Beach accent, right? She has like this thick New York accent. But she also plays another character, Mary Shelley. And when she's Mary Shelley, she puts on like a thick English, like almost Birmingham accent. And I'm telling you, it's crazy to see how easily she switches between the New York accent and the English accent. Like she'll be talking in a sentence like I am now, and her accent will change like three times. And you're just like, how are you? I was literally in the theater, like, yo, is it that easy? Can I just start talking like I am from Birmingham? And I tried it. I'm not going to do it because I don't sound anything like that. But again, just when people are that good at their craft, you really just learn to appreciate it. So she was good at that. As the bride, she takes on the role of kind of an avenger. Like you can see, she doesn't like when men mistreat women at all. And something in her just keeps snapping whenever it goes off, and she intervenes and stops it from happening. And it is a joy to watch her do this. Now, the narrative, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I really liked watching the bride and Frankenstein go on their adventure and essentially have their love story. It's really cool to see. Like when she first wakes up, obviously, like she doesn't know him, so she doesn't like him, right? Just because they're, kind of the same, they're not automatically going to get together. But as they spend time together, you get to see that relationship develop. And that part of the movie, to me, I enjoyed it. Okay, let me go over my dislikes, and I can tell you that some of these are going to be a me, like a Sam issue. But it's my channel, so there is a character named Mary Shelley in this movie. Mary Shelley, if you don't know, is the actual author of the book Frankenstein. And when she's introduced, the first voice we hear in the movie, she talks about how she created Frankenstein and now she has like a new story to tell. So at first I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna tell us the story of the bride. But, and I don't really want to give away spoilers, Mary Shelley is either the subconscious of the bride or an actual poltergeist. In either case, she and her actions directly lead to the bride's creation. The bride has to be reanimated in order to, be known as the bride of Frankenstein, right? My issue is her motivation in doing this and her, I guess, the knowledge she would have needed to have in order for this to work, in order for the bride to have been born. I don't buy it and I don't understand it. Or I guess I should say I don't understand it and I don't buy it, respectively, right? Listen, I am somebody. If there's a journey with an end I don't like, I'm okay with that. I can say I enjoyed the journey even if I didn't like the ending. Something that I really I've never been able to get past. If I don't understand or believe the catalyst, the event that starts the journey, it's going to be in my head the whole movie. And I honestly just don't buy or understand the motivation that Mary Shelley had in doing what she did that led to the creation of the bride. And I'm pretty sure, someone in the comments correct me, but her motivation, what she actually wants, it's not described in the entire movie. Now, ultimately in the movie, I know there's something that she's trying to help the bride accomplish, but she also gets in the bride's way a lot, objectively gets in her way. And again, her decision to choose this particular woman, I'm sorry, and, take the actions that she takes, she literally she would have to be like a future seer to know how this was going to play out. And I don't think that's the vibe the movie was going for. And I honestly don't even know if she's like actually a separate entity or again the subconscious of the bride. So I don't know. All I know is her motivation bothered me and I didn't buy it, and it was bothering me the whole runtime. Rant over. Outside of that, there are a few plot lines that were kind of not developed. One in particular, I mean, there's a big like feminist movement that happens in this film, but that lasts for maybe a scene or two, and then it's not really shown again, and that's a shame. One, because obviously, hey, I'm all for female empowerment, right? But also in the context of the narrative, it would have been so cool to see this plot line play out because it really impacted a large section of the populace, and you kind of want to see more of that effect and the effect the bride had on this populace, right? Like if she is inspiring other women to do things, I would like to see the actions those other women take just a little bit more. Oh, and then also there's a random dance number that happens in this movie, and I didn't like it. All those people who tell me I don't like musicals because I don't like how the story's going along, then all of a sudden someone breaks out in the song. I understand you now because there's this scene. Christian Bale has like a breakdown. He's going through it. He's crying. That all of a sudden they just start dancing. And when I say they, I mean Frankenstein, the bride, and just a bunch of extras that just come into the screen and start doing a whole dance number. And I just that kind of took me out of things. I wasn't a fan of that scene at all. I liked the dance, I liked the music that was playing, but I'm just like, what is going on here? And that leads to a bigger issue. The tone shifts in this movie didn't always work. Sometimes they did. The comedy beats when they came up, they made my theater laugh. But there are some things like this movie wants to be weird. It wants to be an action adventure. It wants to be a drama that makes you feel heartbreak. It wants to be weird and quirky. And, as it's shifting between all these different tones, it doesn't always hit. Some directors are great at that. Some are struggle with that. This unfortunately leans towards the latter. Not in every case, but a lot of cases, like, the tone just kind of gives you whiplash. But that's it. Look, like I said, I think this movie is wonderfully weird. I think that it's a movie you will appreciate if you watch it more than once. Like I, for one, know I need to see it again because I definitely missed some things in the themes, in the scenes, and in the dialogue. Like, there are certain things I feel like I missed that will make me appreciate the movie more after I catch them on a second or third watch. That being said, I do think that this is a movie that, if you're like someone who can appreciate like the art of making film, not to say this is like an art house boring film, right? But if you're someone who can appreciate the art of making film and what goes into it, I think you're going to like this a lot more than say general audiences who are just going out for something to watch. I think general audiences will watch this and the action adventure aspect, the drama that happens, it is enough to keep your attention, but there's going to be a lot of why is this happening that's going to be asked. I can see that happening for general audiences. So I would rate this one a 3.75 out of 5. All right. So The Bride. Let me know when you see it. Let me know what you think about it. Appreciate you. And until next time, I'm out.